My handle was HoSS.
What years were you on AOL?
I want to say 1995 to maybe 19. I mean, I'm still on AOL, but programming, I probably quit in 98 or 99. Probably 99 because I remember a program we wrote called Trinity 2000. We always used to date the programs 1 year ahead, so they were always, viewed as the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
So yeah, I must have been doing it in 99 if I was naming them 2000. But right about then I gave it up.
Which programs did you make again?
Off the top of my head, Mad Cow, Super Mad Cow, all the versions of it, ExorCiST, Trinity. I had a bunch of like punters and shit. There was like the Lazy Eye Punter and boy, I don't even remember half the programs anymore.
You said you started the chat room the end. I do remember the end. Is that because was it Catbot or something kept kicking us out of the whereas rooms and shutting down the whereas rooms? So we had to make new ones, right?
You know what it was? Initially, me and Lith used to go to the chat room Ghoul, Gol, but then it got everybody started going there, so I created another room for testing the programs, and that was the room called The End. But somehow it became wildly popular.
Yeah, no, I remember it. It'd be like the End, the End2, the End3, and then there was a bunch, because I think people just wanted to go somewhere to talk about programming and to trade different software, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. Okay, so then where'd you meet Lith?
Online somehow. I guess if I remember correctly, there was this guy. He went by the name Ghoul Prez, like he was a president.
Oh yeah, because the clubs had presidents, right, back then.
Yes, and somehow me and Liz started fucking with this guy, and we got to know each other online, and we joined up to make these programs. But that's how it all started.
That's really fun. How old were you back then?
I was older for the time. I want to say I was maybe 24 or 25. A lot of the people using the programs were in their early, in their teens, but I was a little bit older.
And I was younger back then. I think I was like, I don't know, 14 or 15, but like my parents had they were not involved at all. It was just kind of like, it was just the Wild West of the internet. It was crazy.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then you met Lith and you made this program, and then from there, did you make anything else, or did you join any Whereas groups, or was that kind of end? Did you get disinterested in it, or?
Yeah, not so much. I didn't really get into downloading programs very much. I was more into just writing programs and doing that kind of stuff. I was big on the interfaces. I enjoyed making like the interface to the programs.
Did you do programming like after like you left AOL, or is that
didn't.
just like the only time? Oh, really? So that's like so you're like, it was just that time in your life you were programming. That's so interesting.
That was it. Yeah, I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time just trying, trial and error, see what works, what doesn't, and eventually I've, got everything to start working.
That's so interesting.
Also, you remember this dude called Trick Dad?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. He used to be pretty good. He wrote a lot of shit in API, and he used to give me, code or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times I take that and modify it and, use it to suit my needs.
Did you have like functions that were just like super, super long?
Shit.
Or modules? I remember I used to have like my punting module or mass mailing module. It was like hundreds of lines of code with like a bunch of if-thens and loops. And it was like, looking back on it, it was very, very poor programming, because like at any point, if anything broke, it would just kill everything.
Yeah. No, I wasn't. I mean, even though I think the programs were decent for the time, I wasn't a very good programmer necessarily. I mean, like for example, like on the intros where I had things moving, I used to go line by line. I don't even remember.
The rotate, right? It'd be like string or image that rotate, and like you'd do like 15 or 20, right?
Exactly. Super easy shit. And I just copy and paste. And then I'd add time intervals and move stuff. And it was a really barbaric way to do it, but it worked.
Yeah, I used to do that too. That's so interesting that like everybody, because I mean, Visual Basic, I remember it was like expensive back then, but like, and I think I got my hand up, hired a copy of it, but it was fun. I don't know. I used to write stuff. My brother and I wrote something and like it would literally just delete, like it would delete C:\Windows. We thought it was hilarious.
Oh,
Um,
shit.
and then we would send it to people and call it like playboy.exe. We thought it was so funny. And
That is,
like, and because it was like Windows 3.1, it would like literally go and just try to delete everything in C:\Windows.
oh, I know. Yeah, I remember writing those programs and trying to keep them under 3 megs because otherwise it took way too long to download. I mean, 3 megs, your computer will do that in about a second now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it used to be like half an hour.
Do you remember like were you using like different combinations of characters to punt?
No, I mean, like punting, I used to remember there was this thing where you could invite people to something. And if you sent them a bunch of them fast enough, it would close out their chat room window.
Yeah, there's two different things. There was like you could send them an IM with a bunch of HTML. That was one way. And yeah, then there was like you would invite them to a room, I think. It was like a
Was
room invite or something.
something like that.
What I used to do is my program, I called it ponting. So I would send them an IM with a bunch of HTML, and then I would invite them to a room, and then I'd send them an IM with a bunch of HTML. So like I found if I interchange those at an interval, it would be like super effective. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I used to mess around with the IM punning. It wasn't as effective as those invites. I wish I could remember what it was all about. It was like a feature AOL added, but I don't remember what exactly it was all about.
I'm glad you reminded me about that. We'll have to figure that out. Some people, but yeah, it has something to do with inviting. I definitely remember that. So then you made the programs, and then what, you hung out in the rooms with the whereas folks, and or was there a separate room just for programming?
I got away from the where's rooms and started, hanging out in the Ghoul chat room, and then the end. I kind of removed myself from all that stuff.
Why?
I just wanted to focus on writing programs.
Okay. Did you ever end up in any chat rooms with any like guides or anything?
What's that? Did I destroy any chat rooms that had
No,
guides?
did you end up in any chat rooms with guides where, like, I don't know, you were causing havoc, and then the guide came in and everyone like rejoiced because the guide was there, and then you would like lay waste to the guide?
Oh, hell yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, remember that shit? Like, if you really drove them crazy, the toss advisor would come into the room, then you knew you were in deep shit.
Yeah, the toss. What was up with that? Yeah, there was the toss advisor and then the guide.
He just had a button to like kill you.
And they could terminate your account too, right? In one click, and then
Yeah.
you go up with another account.
Yeah, I think the guides like had to go through a procedure, but I think the toss advisor just had a big red button that he pushed.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he'd wipe you out.
Did you ever hear about overhead accounts or ever hear about OH accounts or anything?
I did. I got access to them a couple times just because someone would give me a password or something, but I never had them for any length of time. I'd wind up getting them deleted.
Do you remember like what the features were of those, like why they were better?
Well, I remember you could scroll endlessly. I want to say that was probably the biggest feature that I knew of. Do you remember a chat room called Whoville?
No, I don't.
Holy shit. Well, I'm sure a lot of people do because that's where all the guides hung out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they used to spell it WHOVII, uppercase I, E.
Oh,
And
weird.
you go into that and it was like the special AOL guide room, and you go in there, you'd almost get wiped out immediately because they could tell you weren't part of their group.
That's so funny. So
Yeah,
they're
some
a
people
bunch of
gotta
elitists.
remember that. Someone's got to remember that.
Huh, interesting. So what else do you remember from the time?
Oh man. Well, I know I wasted way too much time on there doing this. I probably 2 solid years of drinking beer and writing programs. Seemed like the more fucked up I got, the more talented I got at programming.
There are some programmers that actually, like, I used to have a roommate like that. Like, he would drink and he would just program. It was crazy.
Yeah, it seemed to enhance my abilities. I have no idea why. Probably just because I didn't give up. I just kept trying.
A lot of programming is trial and error. So
Yeah, that's how I did it. Just what works and what doesn't. But ultimately, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it back then really was just trial and error, and it was kind of strange because like you were just writing it for fun. It was like recreational, right?
Yeah, but then there were some people that had those decompilers. I don't know if you remember a program. I think it was called Hellraiser or something like that. That dude like decompiled Mad Cow and just added his own. It took out Mad Cow and added his name to it.
Oh,
It was hilarious because I decompiled his program and saw all my code and shit in there, and I'm like, you motherfucker. But whatever.
yeah, I had people that would use a hex editor and they'd edit my program and put their own name in it and replace mine.
Right. Yeah, that was happening.
So then I figured out if you spelled your name using using CHR to define the ASCII character. So you do like CHR1 for the letter A, and you do like plus CHR2 for B, and you eventually could spell your name out. So if it's something really important, I would spell it out with the CHR concatenation, and then folks couldn't edit my name with the hex editor.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it was. Well, what's it happened to me? I was so mad too. So
Yeah, right.
no, I used I think it was called Doty's decompiler that was going around for a while, and then you could decompile programs, and then you could take people's code and then use it, as your own.
I want to say that's the exact same program I used, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a good one. It worked. Then people figured out how to like protect themselves from getting decompiled. It was this whole cat and mouse game with it, decompiling.
Yeah, I remember that.
Did you ever get into subclassing at all?
No, not really.
At one point, I had a program that would put a Visual Basic text box over the password input box in AOL. So then the end user, if they got my malware, they would actually be typing into my text box. And then my text box, it had like a little like watcher on it. And every time you typed in my text box, it would update the real AOL text box behind it. And then and then as soon as they logged in, it would like email my free Juno email address, and I'd get fishes.
Oh, that's hilarious. I never really got that much into that.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't know.
I used to do the fake accounts and all that, but I used to use somebody else's program to do it. I don't remember which program it was, but I had a bunch of fakes that way.
Did you make the fakes with the credit card generator thing, or did you do fishes?
Yeah. No, I want to say in the very beginning, AOL had a credit card generator, and it actually worked. So you get a fake account, it would either last a month or last until you told the guy to go fuck themselves, then you'd lose that account.
That's so funny. Later I actually ended up working at AOL. They purchased an online music company. I worked for that online music company, and I would hear stories about the people who had subscriptions to AOL but didn't even use the service. They'd be like, well, I need virus protection, so I bought AOL so I don't get any viruses. But like they don't even own a computer, They were just like rednecks who thought it was gonna help them with healthcare. I don't know.
Oh yeah, back then it was crazy. Nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. As far as like people in chat rooms and stuff, they were pretty clueless.
Yeah, phishing the new user chat room, like literally half the people would reply and give me their password. And that's back before like they even had a disclaimer. And even when they put the disclaimer at the bottom of the IMs, people still gave you the password.
That's too funny, yeah.
But what's really weird is that like it's the same shit today. Phishing, it's the exact same, and people still fall for it.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, my father's getting older. He's like 70 now. And he falls for that shit. He doesn't understand why all these young girls keep trying to be his friend on Facebook. I'm like, Dad, they're trying to scam you. But he don't get it. He thinks they want to be his girlfriend.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like trying to teach old people about it, they just don't get it. And unfortunately, it's a numbers game, right? You just blast enough people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what else did you get into back then?
I was mostly just writing those programs. And I was fans of other people. Do you remember what the hell was the dude's name? He made a program called Sonic Boom, and the one before, the Terror was his name.
Oh yeah, I think maybe I remember that.
I used to like idolize that guy, and every once in a while he'd talk to me. It was the best. It was the best. I was probably chatting with some 14-year-old kid and didn't know it, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Did you ever meet the guy that made AOL, the Chronic, or anything?
No, never had. I got the program, but I never knew who wrote it or anything.
Yeah, that was amazing. That changed everything.
Yeah, every time I hear that friggin' song, I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes me back to that program.
It's so funny. I wonder what happened to that guy.
I don't know. Yeah, I saw something on the Facebook page, someone asking who that guy was. I don't know. He seemed to like disappear.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, someone said that they like talked to him once or something, and they got a copy. I don't know if that's true, but maybe I'll try to track him down. We'll see. I think Wired magazine talked to him, and apparently he made the program because he was mad at AOL for some reason, and so he decided this was like his revenge to AOL because AOL basically made it so he could never get an account or something like that. They banned him for life, and so this was like his revenge or something supposedly.
That's too funny. Remember, we all used to hate AOL back then, but we were on it constantly.
Yeah,
It made no sense.
that's really true. We complained about that. We complained about Steve Case and like,
yeah, fuck him.
I don't even know why, but like we just kind of like all hopped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really funny, man.
Yeah, I remember when I first started, it was like $3 an hour. I used to get like $500 a month AOL bills. And they made it unlimited. I remember I made a redialer that would keep dialing until it got you through.
Oh yeah, I started calling other area codes, and at that time I didn't understand that would cost money for my parents. And my parents got like $150 phone bill because I was calling like the next city over.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I guess they were just modem banks, right? So they had to have like enough open ports or whatever, right?
Yeah, weren't we using like 28.8K modems or some bullshit like that? I don't even remember.
Yeah, and then 56K was like the game changer. And then there's something that made 56K faster from like US Telecom.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is once you kick somebody offline, it took them forever to get back online.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
I used to really enjoy destroying chat rooms just by kicking everybody off.
Yeah, right. Did you ever use Sub 7?
No, I never heard of it.
It was their first remote Trojan. Did you ever play Ultima Online?
No.
Okay, it was like, I guess the guy made it for that, but basically he wanted to like steal people's gear. I guess all of your gear in the game was written to a file on the disk on your hard drive. So he basically would drop this Trojan on people's machines, and then he would connect to them remotely, and he could do stuff like print to your printer, open your CD-ROM drive, or he could steal files from you. And so he would steal people's equipment and then like, be like, I'm awesome or whatever in the game, right?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I never got into that. You know what? I remember when I got out of it. It was about the time that everybody switched over to IRC. Was it Internet Relay Chat or something or other?
Yeah.
I never really got into that. So I want to say I was getting away from AOL at that time.
Okay. Yeah. I remember everybody kept saying AOL was lame, AOL was dead, and IRC. And I did actually switch to IRC for a little while around that time. And then I realized IRC was way better. I realized that AOL scene compared to the IRC scene, it made me feel like maybe I wasn't so cool. I don't know.
Too funny. Yeah. I had given up on it by that point. I want to say the last program the last version of AOL I'd written a program for was 3.0. So
really?
So whatever came after that, I wasn't involved.
Okay, yeah. So I left way later, like I think AOL 6 or something. So
2.5 and 3 is what I was involved in.
Got it. Okay, so you were there pretty early in the scene and stuff. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh shit! I just saw that Fate. Remember Fate?
Yeah.
I hated that program.
Oh yeah.
Simply because it was so popular. Yeah, I thought it was shit. What was that, Magus or something?
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's funny. I actually I had a lot of strong feelings against it too because it was so popular.
Exactly. That's the only reason why I didn't like it, because it was so popular. That's funny.
It was Mangus and someone else. I don't know.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can't remember who his partner was.
Like Fungi or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was it. Remember that program? What was it called? WAAS.
Yeah.
Remember?
Was that a group or a program? I forget.
That was a program, but I can't remember who wrote it. But I remember I was big on that program. Like I said, there were a few Sonic Boom and Stormfront, I think it was called. I was a big fan of that guy. I guess they were the inspiration a little bit.
Right. There's
But
kind
yeah,
of like two phases, right? Like there's the phase where you're programming and refining your craft, and then there's the phase where you got to show off your program, right, and just wreak havoc.
oh yeah, yeah. That's when I like re-entered Ghoul or the End. I'd release my program in there, and then it would take off from there.
So how would you release it?
Ask people that were in there that knew who I was if they wanted it, and a lot of people said yes. I'd send it to them, and they'd send it to other people, and it just spread from there.
Did the end ever get shut down, or
The End get shut down?
yeah, did like AOL shut down the room at all, or?
I want to say they did, but I don't remember clearly. I don't know. I know that I want to say Super Mad Cow was like AOL had a list of known viruses, and Super Mad Cow was listed as one of them.
Oh, really? It was listed as a virus?
Yeah,
How would they even know you're running it?
I have no idea. It was just on their list of known viruses. Like they determined it was a virus, and I think it was just to probably get people to not download it. I mean, obviously, it wasn't a virus. I didn't even know how to write a virus.
Like in the email client, it would say it was a virus.
AOL had like a list. Like you'd go to, like you went to a keyword that would list all the viruses that they knew of, and it was on that list. Remember keywords?
Yeah, I do. Those are interesting.
Yeah, that's long gone.
It
Well, it's
was
all long gone. Does AOL even have chat rooms anymore?
I don't know. I don't even know. I can't remember the last time I was in a chat room, to be honest.
Same here. And you know what? If I was in one, I wouldn't even bother participating because you know what? Back then it was really cool to talk to people. I don't give a shit anymore. I wouldn't really want to talk to them.
It's funny.
It is funny. Times change.
Because you're set in your ways now.
Yeah, I'm getting older. I read the news and get all pissed off about it. That's about the extent of it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I gotta sit down and give this all some thought and try and remember. But I tell you what, that was like the highlight of my life. It's sad to say, but man, I had the best time back then.
I did too. It was, I don't know what it was, because maybe because the internet was new, talking to other people, right? And then what do you think it was back then that made it so exciting?
That was a new concept back then. Prior to that, you would never talk to somebody who lived on the other side of the country or the world. It was just cool at the time.
I know I certainly had a blast back then.
For some reason, my brother actually got AOL before I did, and I used to use his computer. He used to get all pissed off at me. It was $3 an hour, but yeah, dude, I was just like, it was like crack. I was just instantly hooked, and I really couldn't tell you why.
I think it's like, have you ever read Ender's Game by any chance?
I have not.
It's a science fiction book, and I never read science fiction. This is the only science fiction book I've read, but it was like, I think it's actually like rated like the best science fiction book ever. But I don't know, it's really cool. But it reminded me of something from that where like there's this one part in the book, they're super focused on something and they're trying again and again, and they keep failing and they keep failing and they keep failing, and then they finally succeed. And I feel like all that trial and error, and then just they're like, yes, I did it. And like whenever you get your program to work, and then you get to kind of show it off to everybody, and everyone's excited for you for like your accomplishment.
Yeah, I wish I could explain. I mean, I will say this much. This is kind of interesting. Is because of the programs I wrote. I remember there used to be a chat room called Buffalo, New York, and they had like a party at some bar, and me and a buddy went to it just for the hell of it. And dude, I must have made out with like 5 different chicks, most of them ugly. And I was drunk though. But then this girl who was normally went to the Buffalo chat room started instant messaging me and wanted to meet. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to meet chicks off the internet. That's pretty lame. But I did, and we're married. So
What? They're married, or you were married?
we are married. Yeah, the girl I met on a AOL chat room, and I mean that's pretty messed up, kinda, but it worked out.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the Buffalo, New York chat room, and everyone said there was gonna be a party at some bar. Like it was a party for the chat room.
Yes, and
That's really cool.
Yeah, I used to be super ashamed of it. Like on our wedding day, the priest asked me how we met. I told him some bullshit story, and then afterwards I felt bad because I was in a church and I was lying. So I'm like, wait, I gotta tell you the truth, but don't tell nobody.
Wait. So you met your wife in the Buffalo, New York chat room?
It's true, yes.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I said, I was ashamed of it for a long time though, because that isn't the way you picked up pics back then.
No. I mean, now it's totally normal, right? Like
Right.
that's what like the younger kids do. I forget, I don't know, they like they swipe right or swipe left or whatever. I don't know. I kind of some of my coworkers are on those dating apps, and like it's crazy, like the way they meet people now, at least
It is,
in my mind.
it is crazy.
But it's kind of funny though. I mean, right? But because you guys, you met your wife online, and then now you're saying that's crazy. But I think it's more crazy because it's now it's like totally accepted, right? And that's what it's all about. Whereas back then it was kind of frowned upon, right? Like you met
Oh,
on the internet, you nerd, you know?
yeah, you fucking nerd. You gotta go on the internet to find chicks. You're a loser. Yeah, that's kind of how it was. So I tried to keep it quiet.
That's funny. That's great. Are you still together?
Yeah, yeah. We have a daughter. We've been married. I have no idea. Like 20 years.
That's
Been a long time.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it kind
great.
of is. Yeah.
So then, do you impart any knowledge to the rest of your family for online safety?
You mean as far as not falling for scams or whatnot?
Yeah.
I try to. I mean, I'm sure you got parents as well that they'll get a message thinking that it's real, and you got to tell them, hey, this is not real. That sort of thing. Yeah.
My kids and stuff, I definitely teach them about phishing, what information you shouldn't give out online, and like that kind of stuff too. Because there's a lot of like, bad people online. That time was so innocent. A lot of it was kind of innocent. Maybe there was more shady stuff going on than I'm aware of, but I don't know.
Yeah, same. I don't know what was going on back then as far as like perverts and shit like that.
Yeah, supposedly I heard there was like some chat rooms, and then like AOL wouldn't shut those down, but they were shutting down the whereas rooms, and so it made people like furious. So they'd go in there and they would just kick off all the pedos and stuff because no one was doing anything about it. So
Yeah. Yeah, remember the mass mailings, like the gift rooms? You'd go in there and you get all this pornography on your computer. You could download. They'd flood your mailbox with it.
yeah, that was kind of weird.
That was the early. That might have even been before you were on there. It was in the early days. I remember I got my first computer and I downloaded a bunch of that stuff, and then I got a virus or something, and I took my computer back to the guy that I bought it from, and like he saw my wallpaper, which was like a big fucking naked ass on my screen. He's like, "What are you doing with this computer?" And I'm like, "I'm using AutoCAD." So it was just pretty funny. You could see what I was up to.
That's so funny.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I got my first computer from a guy that used to go to this place and buy all the parts and then put them together, and then that's how I got my first computer.
So how long were you in the scene then back then?
I want to say maybe 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I started to grow up a little bit and lose interest after a while. I was in college at the time. I just finished that up, and I started, a girlfriend at the time, and yeah, things. I just stopped messing with the programs and stuff.
After you left AOL, were you still into computers, or like were you? Because it sounds like you still like do BitTorrent, but like your career and stuff. Did you end up doing stuff related to computers, or not at all?
No, I didn't. I was going to school for electrical engineering. I graduated, wound up getting into the electrical union, and I've been doing that ever since. So I don't really have my job doesn't really, have anything to do with computers.
Right on. Yeah, a lot of people I talked to, that was just like a time in their life they did that, and then they kind of just like hung up their reins,
Yeah, it's pretty much what happened. It's just, how it is with hobbies or things like this. One day you're kind of like, all right, I'm done with this. And that's pretty much how it ended. I'm just like, I don't have any interest in this anymore. And I stopped. But I tell you what, that was like the highlight of my life. It's sad to say, but man, I had the best time back then.